6:30 to call the meeting to order. First item of business is public comment. The indication of the person in the audience says they do not have a comment, so we'll skip over number 2. Number 3, Denise Duval, Town Secretary.
So I put some information in the agenda packet regarding what I found out at Flag Hill for possible options for dinner. The one that we've had for, we're not sure if it's 3 years.
You put something?
There was nothing in there?
There was nothing.
Oh, did I not put it in? Oh,
No,
that's
it
right.
just
We
says give an
decided not to
update.
put- I'm sorry. we
Their
decided-
menu, the menus are confusing.
Yeah, we decided not to put it in. So basically, it's the same, it can be the same thing that we've had for 2 or 3 years, which is the Italian buffet for $10, which is a salad, garlic bread, baked pasta with chicken, Italian meatballs with marinara sauce. Or if we wanna do something different and add, basically adding rice pilaf. It's a little confusing. It says with peas and mushrooms, I guess that's in the rice pilaf.
That's in the rice pilaf. Yes.
Chicken piccata, still get the Italian meatballs and marinara. That's for $15 an hour.
Person.
An hour?
Per person, I mean, per person, $15.
You don't have an hour to eat, $15.
Yeah, I know.
Pretty fast.
All you can eat.
$15.
That does, both of those do come with a dessert tray, platter, the cookies and desserts, so. Those are basically the 2 options. If, I don't know how you feel about $15, is that too steep? I can maybe talk to them.
How many people? Remind me, how many people?
Oh, 80 is the maximum
For Flag Hill.
for Flag Hill, yeah. Or we can go back to, I can call it range.
How much did we spend on the grain last year?
We were at Flag Hill
We were
last year.
Yeah.
Oh, was it the year before?
It must have
Might
been
have been the
even,
year before.
yeah.
Because we had Goody Coles.
Yes, that was barbecue. But Tom arranged that, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, so what we paid doesn't stick in my head. But it was probably a similar price point.
I was just,
Yeah,
in terms of,
I think Flag Hill's
it's
very
good
good.
because there's plenty of parking and
Yeah,
it's easy to get
You don't have
to.
the dining room is very nice. You just put in a large stone fireplace there. It's very comfortable. Have a bartender.
yeah, I figured that Mr. Brown would bring up the
That's not included in the meal, you're on your
The
own.
maple
So
liqueur.
it's important.
It's
It's an
important,
important
but you're on your own.
That's important. That's okay. I can be on my own.
So we okay with the $10? You want to do the 15? So,
I'd rather do the 15. I think
Yeah.
it gives people a little bit more choice. I mean, some people are.
so is it one, what is it?
It's,
It's one or the other though, it's this both?
well, this 15, you keep the Italian meatballs and the marinara, but you lose the chicken and pasta, but you add chicken piccata instead. So it's a little different than what we've had every time. It's,
So it's no choice, it's just, that's what it is.
right,
Yeah, just a little bit different.
and rice pilaf instead of
There you go with mushrooms and string beans or whatever is in there.
mushrooms and peas.
Mushrooms and peas.
I like chicken piccata,
We good with that?
Yeah, 15, let's vote it.
but, okay.
Let's go.
And so far, every Thursday in December was available.
What day is it gonna be?
Sounds like,
Do we know?
we did Thursdays.
We did
Yeah.
Thursday before.
Mhm.
One time, I think we got stuck with a different day because we,
I mean, I suggest we do it as early in December as possible,
I agree.
because,
Like
you
the
know,
first week in
people get
December.
very busy in December.
Don't pick a snow day.
they have everyone
So
available.
the first Thursday in December is the 5th.
That sounds good to
So
me.
we try for the 5th,
Okay.
same time as last time. Can you send out something to the committees and commissions? Saying that this is whatever 5th from, I don't remember what it was, 6 to, you know, all that stuff. And are we including spouses? What are we doing? That seems to be a guests. So
We
guest,
saying, we saying one guest?
one guest.
We
What do you think?
was it at Flag Hill that we said committees, commissions, volunteers can bring a guest? And then town employees could, if we didn't
If
already
you had
exceed the
space.
maximum?
I think we did, and that didn't go over too well.
I mean, I can't, obviously it doesn't matter to me.
Right.
So,
They can bring a spouse or one guest.
Yeah, spouse or one,
But
yeah,
I think if we narrow down the guests to
That's right.
one,
which is a
That's better
spouse
than-
or a guest, it's one or the other.
right, no, but I mean, not the family with the extended
That's right.
kids.
right,
That's
You
true,
know,
I agree.
a
Okay.
plus one.
A plus one,
You're a plus one, okay.
plus one, okay.
So,
We'll see what happens first come,
so
first
for
served.
instance, just to pick, just so we're all clear, Mr. Tappan and his wife are both volunteers. Does that mean John gets to bring somebody besides Ann, Ann gets to bring somebody besides?
Hey,
just
however they arrange
Yeah, I
their
know.
relationship,
I'm just asking because
Because that would be
might-
four people.
if they want that to be on display at the volunteer dinner,
I think we just need some direction to Denise, because that might come up and we need to let her
That's
know
never
about that.
that's never come up.
But if they do that, then I will take them out back and
I would say no, if.
For the record, Denise.
Yeah.
Good point.
And that's never come up in the past, so.
Yeah.
I don't think we should worry about
Okay. I just don't want to leave her.
it. No, I know,
Yeah,
I understand,
important.
but
She has a hard enough job it is dealing with
they are both
With everything
volunteers.
else.
with everything else, with us.
That's a lot.
So,
Okay.
We'll be fine.
and let us know if something else comes up. All right, item number 4, Julie Glover, Town Administrator.
So it is budget season, the start of budget season yet again.
Oh, yeah.
I put out the FY '21 worksheet, and you should have received a cleaner, what I referred to as a cleaner copy this afternoon than what was in the agenda packet. Sent that off to the department heads, asked them to please have it back to me no later than September 20th, so that we can put the data into Tyler. I sent an email to Tom Murdoch, chair of the ABC, saying, hey, it's budget season again. Typically, past, the ABC has had a kickoff organizational meeting in September. If you needed anything, to please let me know. I've started working on the budget calendar. It looks like what we'll probably have the deliberative session on February 1st, which I think we kind of already knew that. So, obviously don't need to decide now, but, maybe the board can think about budget direction to department heads. I do know that the department heads would very much appreciate receiving guidance at the start of the budget process. So that if the board, for example, wants to see no increase or 2% or whatever the number is, or whatever instructions, that they know it ahead of time and they can structure their budget rather than items being cut from the budget at the 11th hour and they haven't really had an opportunity to provide input to that, so. So it's that time of year again.
One thing, the thing you sent out today,
Mm-hmm.
there was FY19 budget and actual, and then it was FY21 budget. Wasn't that supposed to be FY20 budget?
There should have been
It was
fiscal
the 20.
18 and fiscal 19, both budget and actual.
Yeah,
Fiscal 20 is just the budget,
I think it said 21.
and then fiscal 21 is blank and department head request.
No, that's not the one.
That's not the one.
I don't think so. Is there 2 pages?
Yeah,
Because there's more.
one over
Maybe
there.
it's.
Oh,
no,
you're
that's the other
right,
one.
you're right, it
Yeah.
should, I'll correct that. It should say fiscal 20.
I
20.
figured that's what it
Yeah.
was, but
Yeah.
maybe we can just change the label.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an old one.
Yeah.
That's the one that came out.
Mhm.
2 things. One, that was on my item number 6, but budget directions for the department heads and also finding a day that the ABC and the board can meet.
Yes, good idea.
Tom has said that he cannot do Mondays and Tuesdays at all.
I thought it was on Tuesday last year,
It was on Tuesday last night, he can't do it this year.
this year.
So, I don't know what you guys are, availability is, I don't know if we can do a Wednesday or a Thursday.
Thursday's been planning board, so Wednesday's
Right.
open day.
So Wednesday would be,
Wednesday.
It's fine.
so we'll try for Wednesdays?
Yeah,
Yeah,
shoot for
that'd be fine.
Wednesdays, it's a good time.
All right, and in terms of budget direction, I don't know if you guys have thought about,
Well, I think it's a good idea to give them some direction. I don't know if we wanna go with a zero-based budget, or if we wanna do a moderate increase to the budget. That's something we can have a quick discussion with, but I would say, I mean, I think I have problems with just a zero-based budget, if, you know, but I think there's 2% cap would be good. If they have something special, they can come to the board with something special, but I think 2%.
That makes for a very confusing budget direction, I will tell you
What,
that.
2%?
No, well,
Well,
it's 2%, don't submit anything that's more than 2%, but if you really want something, because then they all, you
Oh,
know,
but they're gonna do that anyway, I mean,
if,
it's,
if the board says,
If they stick
we
to
will
their
not
guns.
accept a budget submission that's more than a 2% increase, then that's what they have to do. It's way easier through the process to add money, I think, than to subtract money.
So what's the cost of living index?
less than 2.
I was gonna say it's probably around 2, but yeah.
It's less than, yeah, well, the Fed's lowering interest rates and they're not worried at all about inflation, so it's less than 2. I haven't looked lately, last year it was a little bit around 2, it was around 2%, but now it's less, so, but I don't
So
know.
2% would be a good spot.
It's someplace
Yeah.
in the middle,
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know.
Anyways,
I just think we need
about
to
it.
tell them something.
Yeah, I agree, but not right yet.
Oh, okay.
But you can see-
I will let them know that the board talked about it, they're talking about 2%, so maybe aim for that right now.
What's the deadline you put in there for them to get back?
September 20th,
Okay, so we meet again on the
26th, the September 9th.
9th, so let's put it on the agenda as a discussion.
It's a formal.
Yeah, it'll allow us a couple of weeks to think about it and
Okay.
go through the process.
But no more than 2, it could be a little bit less, so that's why I want to
Okay.
think about it.
Okay. Well, it'll give us a chance to look and see what the inflation is.
Exactly, see what's going on in the rest of us.
Yep. So.
Investment policy, where's the investment policy?
Yeah, it's, we attached it.
She wants a hard copy.
I don't have a copy.
We don't have a hard copy. Whoa.
Well, how did it end up in the agenda and then not in the-
I don't
There it
know.
is.
I don't know. In any event, the investment policy hasn't been updated since, or reviewed, or since 2016. So it's something that the auditors mentioned when they were here last week. So I took a look at it, just went through, I did not change anything relative to policy, I just made either some, maybe what I call it grammatical, or change board of selectmen to select board, so. Didn't know whether the board had
There's
any
really nothing.
questions.
I was fine with that.
Yeah, there was no major changes, and,
Okay,
yeah, it just looks like basic grammar,
Mhm.
yeah, yep,
and good with.
okay.
So maybe you can
I will
bring
bring
it,
it back next
Yep.
meeting
that sounds good.
in final form. I would have had to have done that
It was in
anyway.
draft, yeah, okay, that's cool.
Okay. And then today, we were advised by New Hampshire Retirement System, as you may recall, we have a third full-time firefighter effective July 1st. So the retirement system requires us to issue what they call a certification form, that you are certifying that, yes, we have another full-time firefighter position. So it's just something that needs to be signed by the selectmen. So we can just do that with everything else. And then that is it.
Item number 5, I move to accept the consent agenda as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
There isn't much to sign.
Wow.
Oh, did we get any money from the sheriff?
No.
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 No, but I guess I wasn't really expecting it today, but I would definitely expect to see it tomorrow or Wednesday.
We soon.
What's the final number?
103,000 and change.
We have to stand up.
Stand beside her and guide her.
I'll call you back.
See, they missed it, John. You had some singing in
I
it.
got some singing in that thing, Mary.
Not much.
Why'd you cut me right off? Cut me off. Is the second one?
Oh, did I miss that one?
I missed that
Oh,
one,
my
too.
goodness.
Mr. Brown caught that one.
He's on the ball tonight,
Yeah, I know, oops, sorry.
and we're not.
You have a TCVC meeting tomorrow, or Wednesday?
Guess we're talking grants,
Mhm.
presentation.
There we go. Done, done.
All set? Item number 6, miscellaneous unfinished business. Anything from anybody?
Yeah, I have one thing.
Okay.
As was discussed in the planning board meeting, it's time to start looking at a capital improvements plan, the CIP. And after thinking about this for some time, I think it might be important to put the town administrator on that subcommittee of the planning board CIP, because the town administrator deals with this all the time, all the budgetary actions, so she would sit on it. At least get all the information what's going down, and, you know Bob Smith, he chairs it. He chairs the planning board, but also I think he chairs the subcommittee as well. I can't remember the other two members. I think it would be help in the long run as this process starts to go through. What I had mentioned to the planning board, I think we had this discussion here, was that the fire department wanted to buy a bunch of radios, and there was something about buying a whole bunch of air masks and tanks and everything. And the policy said it's $5,000, but sometimes if you buy them, if you plan to buy them every 10 years when they're dying, we can buy them all at once instead of having them squeeze in their operational budget. So I'm asking permission to move forward on that.
Yeah, it's sort of something that Karen and I have kicked around for a few years.
Is the planning board and Mr. Smith amenable?
It would have to go to the planning board.
Because it's their
Yes.
subcommittee.
Yep.
I just want to make sure we're fine with it before we move in that direction.
Maybe she can help them put on our buildings in there as well, at least.
Well, it's supposed to be like furnaces and
Least-
stuff, right?
Yeah, but I'm thinking the larger stuff. Maybe even if there's a placeholder, new public safety facility, don't know how much it is, but at least it's in there. Because that's one of the things, we're just missing all the expensive stuff. So,
So could you ask Karen, put that on the planning board schedule that I have brought it out with the board of selectmen and they agreed for this to move forward, at least I have a book to move with this thing.
Mr. Brown, I assume you're okay with it too?
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
It just gives a little bit more time in town for the town administrator. I don't know when they meet.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Because isn't it Ed? Ed's one of them, I think, isn't he?
And Bannister's no longer on the board.
Oh, is it? Oh, his building's so, well,
Yeah, his building's
supposedly.
So, yeah, that's another,
Supposedly soon.
so supposedly it's done, right? And it's going out. They're gonna be 2 apartments on the second floor, and is it electrician? I can't remember.
Electrician on
On the first floor.
Business, a commercial business. on the
Commercial
first
business
floor,
on the
and
first floor.
2 apartments on the second.
Yes. So it's moving in the right direction. That's it for me.
Anything else from the planning, nothing else?
Nothing from the planning board after this.
Okay. All right. Fairs coming up, 2 Saturdays, 2 Saturdays?
So where do you buy the tickets?
Oh, I don't know.
I haven't seen a thing
Dinner
about it.
ticket. We were talking about that today, we don't have them
I
yet.
looked at Lee Ryan, the young lady said you can buy tickets at
I
town
know.
hall.
Well, for some reason, there was some discussion about we weren't gonna sell tickets ahead of
It
time.
was sketchy. I thought
Yeah.
Eric said we weren't,
Yeah.
and then
Why, you just buy it at the
Karen
door?
said.
Better have
"No,
enough.
Karen said we are, I don't know.
Most people do not buy them in advance.
Yeah, they just buy them at the door. And there's always enough food.
So
isn't there?
why are we spending it? I don't know. They're making tickets though. They're
Mhm.
making them,
Oh,
so.
they're making tickets.
Well, last year they didn't have enough food.
Oh, really?
They didn't?
No. I was at the end of the line.
Too bad, you were there early.
My friend was racing at Epping and he kept, oh no, they're running another race, so I waited at the end of the line. So he eventually showed up and went through the line. I still got food, but not everything. There was
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot
I
of it was
didn't
gone.
eat last year either.
So,
Yeah.
but you know, it's better than having tons of it left over. But,
Oh, that's true, that's true.
so,
All right, just food for thought.
food for thought. The other thing we need to be thinking about is the volunteer award for next year.
Mhm.
And we've sent out a little reminder, so those should start trickling in at some point, so. That's the only other thing I can think of. Anything, Mr. Brown, anything
No.
from the, no?
Good.
All right. And I stopped at the swap shop,
Mhm.
first time since it was open with their new format, and I shouldn't have.
Did you load your truck up?
No, I didn't pick up anything. It was people.
Oh,
Yeah.
There was a nice lady there chatting about politics, and one of the volunteers there. So I got drawn into that. Interesting, but they seem to do a bang up business.
yeah.
There was one guy brought in a whole box of stuff, and before he even got to the garage door, half of it was gone, because people were picking stuff up. And then one thing that brought up, and I'm not sure, I think it's Dennis.
Yeah.
Dennis?
Oh, yeah, Dennis, he talked.
He's the one, I think he's the one that got for taking metal.
Yes, he
stuff.
was. Yes, he
He
was.
has brought up to Steve Bullock, he says, well, why can't you sell it to me for whatever the poundage is, and then you don't have to deal with it? I said, I don't know, bring it up to Steve and see if he wants to bring it forward. But,
His philosophy is that I don't know what we pay for, you know, how much we get, 6 cents a pound, I don't know, make something up.
Mm.
His philosophy is, well, charge 10 cents a pound, because a lot of people want to dig through that and get pieces of metal for certain things. My only word is liability, digging through a metal pile. It always goes back to liability, someone getting hurt, cut, slashed, or whatever at this point. He says, that way you don't have to haul it off, because it'll be picked through, and people can get the pieces of metal that they need for whatever their project that they're working on.
I don't know. We can talk to Steve. It feels like it complicates something that's already complicated enough.
So,
There's,
just,
there is a lot of complaining going on right now in Neighbor Lee, if you read some of the comments about, and a lot of that's because of the sorting now that they're doing, you know, with the waxed covered paper, what can go
Oh,
in the
yeah.
paper, what can't go in the paper. So it backs up inside the building, so people are outside and they're complaining because people are talking inside and they're not moving fast enough.
that's why I got all my politicking done inside, unfortunately.
there was the thing that Dean Rubin, so it is. Dean Rubin sent out about the plastic containers
Yeah,
that you can leave the tops on.
yeah.
That's not true. They require you to take them off.
You
No.
can leave the
Not
tops
anymore.
on.
It's,
But,
Steve prefers the caps to be off because it makes it easier to crush them.
oh, that's not what I was
That's not what
told.
I heard, because I was throwing them in and I got yelled at.
We had this conversation with Steve last week.
Well,
Have it one way or the other.
the thing, the reason I bring this up is you're sending out missed messages to the
Right.
public.
Yes.
One, in terms of the documentation or whatever is being sent out with e-crier, and what the attendants are telling people.
Mhm.
I won't
So-
disagree.
Oh, I'm not saying it's
No.
anybody's
just
fault,
saying.
but
Well, they get.
I went to the solid waste meeting, they clearly stated that you didn't have to remove tops from the bottles anymore.
that's not.
Well, isn't Steve a member of the solid waste?
He was sitting there, he didn't say
Well,
anything.
that's part of this mixed message routine again.
Well, we just need to make sure that all of the transfer station employees know the latest. I mean, it's confusing for everybody because the rules seem to change every day.
Mhm.
And we're not in charge of the rules changing. So it's confusing for
The paper
everybody.
is really a mess because,
Yeah.
you know, you can't use anything that's what they call wet pack paper, which
Mhm.
is, you know, drink cartons. And Randy's been doing a little hand test. He put water on the back of the piece of cardboard and you scratch it, and if it comes off, then it's okay, and if it doesn't, then it's not okay. And I mean, it's really,
Jeez.
it's really getting messy as to, you know, what paper you can throw where.
Well, the guy told me, general rule of thumb is if it goes in the refrigerator or the freezer with food, they will take it.
Yeah,
But I think the message, and I'm not complaining to you two, I'm just, this is a session we're having, is we need to make sure that the message is being sent out so there's not mixed messages. That frustrates people. The change, people don't want to change anyways, but when you send out missed messages in terms of thing says one thing, and then when you go there, you get told something else. So,
well, whatever was in
e-crier?
the piece of paper that Dean published in e-crier should be accurate, because everybody that was anybody in solid waste was in the meeting and blessed it, so.
So what it's basically saying, things with caps are fine because they will take it where we take it to. It's just that Steve prefers not to have caps because it makes our machinery hard to crush this stuff.
But you can toss the cap into the recycle bin. He just would prefer the cap to not be on the
The
container.
bottle. Well, somehow that has to come across because they
Yeah.
made me collect the
Yeah.
bottles and put it over here, the caps in the garbage can.
Oh,
See what happens, so I'm tossing him in there because I read that thing. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, he's over there picking them out with me saying, you gotta take the caps off, throw them in the garbage can.
okay,
My guy was a little bit different. He says, no, you can't leave the tops on, but you can throw them in.
right,
Yeah, see, now you got a
So
different cap.
that's
right.
even totally.
Two different messages,
Right.
which
But
I'm
that's-
used to taking
But
the
that's my
top.
understanding from what Steve said,
That you can throw them in, but
yes,
he'd like the tops off, but they don't
Correct.
have to be.
But didn't say that
Right.
in the e-crier. They said that you can take your caps off and just throw them in. I think
Right.
people would understand that a little bit better. Well, it'll get there, sooner or later.
In the meantime, we'll get calls or get.
Yeah,
pulled
we'll
to
get
the
beyond
side.
that and everything else. I have to give a lot of credit, though. There's a lot of people up on the upper deck helping to
Yes.
get people to do the way they're supposed to be doing it.
Yeah.
And with the volunteer and the, because I dropped off a bunch of stuff, they actually scrutinized it, which was good. What's in the box, they looked through it, made decisions on the spot, whether it should be in the recycle or not.
Yeah.
So I thought it was someone's taking control and doing something about it, which is good.
Yeah. Excellent.
That's the scope.
Anything else?
No.
Motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
28 minutes, 29 minutes?